week 13 of the fantasy baseball season, and here's a few pitchers falling this week. The first guy's Tyler Mahle of the Cincinnati Reds. Mahle, he's had a pretty good season this year. 84 and a third, 7-3 record, 69 hits, 35 earned runs given up, 11 homers, 27 walks, 105 strikeouts, 3.74 ERA, 1.14 WHIP, and 4 quality starts on the season. But the last couple weeks here for Mahle, 10 innings, 0-1 record, 11 hits, 7 earned runs, 3 homers given up, 4 walks, 15 strikeouts, a 6.30 ERA, and a 1.50 WHIP. So at least those strikeouts are up. But besides that, he's been getting hit pretty decent and pretty hard here in his last couple outings as Mahle. And that, we know he's an up and down pitcher. Throughout his career, he's been mostly a 4th or 5th starter, but this season he's definitely turned things around and been a good asset for fantasy owners and the Cincinnati Reds. But the last few games for him, June 16th in Milwaukee, 6 innings, got the win, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 12 strikeouts, a 1.50 ERA, 0.83 WHIP in the quality start. June 21st in Minnesota, 4 innings, no decision, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, a homer, 3 walks, 8 Ks, a 6.75 ERA, a 2 WHIP. And June 27th versus Atlanta, 6 innings he still went, but he got the loss, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 homers, a walk, 7 Ks, 6 ERA, and a 1.17 WHIP in that ball game. So Mahle here, the last 3 out of 4 starts, he's had an ERA in those ball games over 6, and right now he's not producing. He's not pitching as effective as he was early in the season, and right now he's a pitcher falling this week. The second pitcher is Hanshin Ryu of the Toronto Blue Jays. So Ryu, he was off to an amazing start the first few months of the season, but now his numbers have come back down a little here. On the season, 93 and 2/3, 7-5 record, 87 hits, 38 earned runs, 14 homers, 21 walks, 74 strikeouts, a 3.65 ERA, and a 1.15 WHIP with 8 quality starts on the season here for Ryu. And the last couple games for him, June 20th at Baltimore, 7 innings, got the win, 3 hits, 1 earned run, a homer, a walk, 4 Ks, a 1.29 ERA, 0.57 WHIP, and a quality start. June 26th versus Baltimore, 6 2/3, got the win, 7 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 3 Ks, a 5.40 ERA, and a 1.35 WHIP. And July 1st, yesterday versus Seattle, 4 innings, got the loss, 7 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 homers, 2 walks, 2 Ks, a 9 ERA, and a 2.25 WHIP. So the last 2 outings versus pretty weak teams, in my opinion here, hitting the baseball. He just hasn't gone out there and produced right now as Ryu for this Toronto Blue Jay team, and he's definitely struggling. The ERA's definitely bumped up, and the home run ball he's given up as well definitely hasn't helped him. But I think Ryu, he could turn things around definitely, but it's just a little alarming to me that the last 2 outings versus pretty poor hitting teams, he's been hit pretty hard, and he's definitely a pitcher falling this week. The next pitcher is Aroldis Chapman of the New York Yankees. So Chapman, he's a Jekyll and Hyde type of closer here. I noticed over the last few seasons for this Yankee team, and this Yankee team, surprisingly this season, they were only 2 games over 500 at 41 and 39 on the season. And Chapman, he just hasn't been that good for the most part this season, but the last couple of weeks he's definitely taken a hit. Or his numbers on the season, 28 and 2/3, 5 2 record, 16 saves, 20 hits given up, 12 earned runs, 4 homers, 19 walks, 49 strikeouts, a 3.77 ERA, and a 1.36 WHIP. But the last couple weeks here for Chapman, 1-0 record, 2 saves, 6 hits, 7 earned runs, a homer, 8 walks, 4 Ks, a 18.90 ERA, and a 4.20 WHIP. And we'll dig a little deeper in the numbers. In the last month here, 10 walks, 9 strikeouts, 3 homers given up, 11 earned runs, 14 hits for Chapman. 1-2 record, 5 saves, and a whopping 12.91 ERA and a 3.13 WHIP. So right now, he's been wild. He's been ineffective. And teams, they've been taking him and hitting the ball over the fence here with that 12 ERA in the last month. So right now, Chapman's been struggling, and he's definitely a closer falling here. Right now, like I mentioned a lot in my videos about closers, it's a crapshoot for the most part. And Chapman, he was definitely a top 5 closer coming into the season and drafted in fantasy drafts. But right now, he hasn't lived up to the billing in the last month. And he's definitely a pitcher falling this week. The next pitcher falling this week is Domingo Germán, the teammate of Aroldis Chapman of the New York Yankees. So Germán, he missed pretty much the last 2 seasons with off-the-field issues and injuries here. And on the season for Germán, 4-5 record, 76 innings, 75 hits, 38 earned runs, 15 homers, 19 walks, 68 strikeouts, 4.50 ERA, a 1.24 WHIP, and 5 quality starts on the season. But the last couple weeks here, he's been batting practice for the most part. 11 innings, 0-1 record, 15 hits, 10 earned runs, 3 homers, 6 walks, 11 strikeouts, 8.18 ERA, and a 1.19 WHIP. So right now, he's pretty much a droppable pitcher as well. Here is Germán in fantasy baseball, and he's been dropped already in 6% of fantasy leagues this week, and he's failed to go 5 innings in his last 4 outings. So the last few outings here for Germán: June 19th versus Oakland for him, 4 innings, no decisions, 7 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 homers, 2 walks, 6 Ks, a 9 ERA, a 2.25 WHIP. June 25th at Boston, 4 innings, got the loss, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, a walk, 3 Ks, a 6.75 ERA, a 1.50 WHIP. And then June 30th versus the Angels, 3 innings, 3 hits, 3 earned runs, a homer, 3 walks, 2 Ks, 9 ERA, and a 2 WHIPs. So right now, he's a pitcher you just can't count on here in fantasy baseball, especially the last month. He hasn't gone more than 5 innings in a ball game. That's definitely troubling. And you would think him on a good Yankee team will be good this season, but right now that just hasn't been the case for Germán, and he's a player definitely falling this week. And the 5th and final pitcher falling is Hector Neris of the Philadelphia Phillies. So Neris, he's been a total train wreck here for this Philly team and fantasy owners, and he's a player I said early in the week that was on the drop list, and now owners, they're going out there and finally dropping him in 6% of fantasy league, but somehow he's still owned in 57% of fantasy leagues as Neris. And Neris, he's blown 6 saves on the season, and the totals for him: 30 2/3, 1-5 record, 11 saves, 25 hits, 12 earned runs, 5 homers, 14 walks, 37 strikeouts. Somehow that ERA is still a 3.52 with a 1.27 WHIP here. But the last couple weeks here for Neris: 4 innings, 0-2 record, 1 save, 7 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, 4 Ks, a 6.75 ERA, and a 2.50 WHIP. So right now, he's been a total train wreck. And this Philly team, they're using a closer by committee for the most part. We've seen Alvarado get saves. We've seen Archie Bradley get saves. And Neris, he's just not the man in my opinion here. And he should be dropped pretty much in all fantasy leagues. And in the last month as well, that ERA is at an 8.22. So right now, he's not getting the job done. He's not pitching good, and he's definitely a pitcher falling this week. So that's a few pitchers falling here in week 13 of the fantasy baseball season.